Oh shit, did I already put it live? God, I screwed it up.
We're live.
Yeah, I still had to go to the damn bathroom. Um, yeah,
Hold it. Hold it like your ETH.
whoopsie. Whoopsie. Guess we're live early today, boys. They don't have the pump up music.
That was a fat finger?
I don't know. I'm still getting I'm still trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. It looks like I won't bore the audience with the technical details of my Streamlabs incompetence, but we'll figure that out at some point. Let me just post into the Discord real quick that we're live. Make sure we get everybody in here. Yeah, sorry everybody about the stream time. I know this seems like the worst of both worlds. Stream time. It's like too early for our East Coast friends, and all the Euros have gone to bed. So we're like
West Coast is still at work.
We are. Yeah, we're reverse optimizing right now, but we're still trying to just get this thing out to you guys whenever we can record it until we can figure out a sustainable schedule. Let's make a quick announcement. All right, cool. I should probably tweet too, huh? Use my Twitters.
Yeah,
use my Twitters thing.
You got followers, baby.
All right. We're grinding up. We're grinding up the follower count, like the portfolio. I probably need to tweet more than like once a week, but
follow Steven on Twitter at Steven Cesaro.
Yeah, I don't know how people have time to tweet so much, dude. Some of these accounts I follow, they're just shit posting like 900 times a day.
What's up, Feech? Feech in the building?
Feech in the house. What is up, Feech? What's up, Ali? What's up, Bushi Tong? Am I saying that right? Give me 1 second, guys. Just gonna drop a link to the stream on the YouTubes, and then we can get the show on.
I'm gonna
get the show on the
road. My beer. I'm drinking on a Thursday now.
Dude, it's a good day for a Thursday. Let's take a moment and just feel good. I feel so good right now. I hate saying this because I'm like, oh no, I'm euphoric.
Yeah, is this the jinx? We're jinxing.
Oh right yeah, no, I'm totally jinxing, dude. Yeah, it's so hard to distinguish between like euphoria, but like when you're in the beginning of the bowl, you're euphoric, and it is a warranted euphoria because you are about to just go up only, you know?
Man, we earned this too. Like this was a fucking grueling process of just sitting and holding and waiting and podcasting and fucking everything.
Bro, I have grinded so hard for the last 3 freaking years nonstop. I am going to make the largest bucket of money over the next couple of years, and I will have deserved every damn penny because I've been killing myself, dude. Oh man, it's been rough out there for sure. 1 second.
But goddamn, dude, I gotta give you a lot of credit because you have called this all along the way. You've been calling the bottom is in back when like FTX collapsed, and basically just been bullish and correct for like a year probably.
Yeah, I mean, we were having a lot of combos. I remember just before the merge last summer. It's crazy how many like huge swings you have just within that like larger time frame of like this is sort of the bottom. I mean, the ETH bottom was last July, right? And I remember I fucked that trade up kind of because I bought so much ETH at 1,000, and then I just held it through the merge, and then I ended up selling a bunch of it at your wedding at like 15 or something, and then after FTX and like December, I kind of just January I kind of knew it was on. I have like a good ability now to just be like, oh it's on, and then I heard somebody saying there's a saying like don't be a dick for a tick, you know, like when who was that? I think it was Avi Feldman, the trader on Twitter.
Highly profitable.
Or maybe it
strategy.
Was, yeah. Or maybe it was actually Jonah Van Borg. I get it mixed up sometimes. But But yeah, the idea is like when price is going, when you know price is going to go, you just buy. You know, you miss your limit order for an extra 10 cents, and then the price triples on you, and you just want to off yourself for the next few years. So that's no fun for anybody.
I just wanted to point out that it was not lost on me that you were trading during my wedding. You were not celebrating our nuptials.
That was a horrible time for me. I did make my most retweeted tweet of all time, I think, during your wedding, though, like with the ETH.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know, the ETH mountains.
Oh, the mountain.
Like, good time. So we're just dating ourselves now. Yes, it was on the 1000X podcast. I heard him say that. Don't be a dick for a tick. And I was like, yeah, that's good stuff. 1000X podcast is a great podcast, by the way. Shout out to those guys, Avi and Jonah. They put on a nice pod. There's not a lot of pods with like actual like real traders talking about crypto stuff. Like the space is just kind of full of like trolls and just random posers and stuff. Hopefully people don't think that about us. Otherwise, why are you here? But yeah, so for those of you who are not in the know, we are just absolutely rising right now in crypto. I'm gonna fire up the old charts for you here, Eric. At least that's my intention. If my Streamlabs ever works. I gotta tell you, we got just
remember to switch back. So
yeah, I know. So many technical issues there. Oh, there's us. That's not what I want. There we go. All right. I think the viewers see a chart. Now I just gotta get you to see the chart, and we're good to go. Maybe I do need a producer, dude. Maybe I do need a producer.
Yeah, I still don't see one.
Well,
but I see it on YouTube.
You should see it. You should see it now.
Yeah, thank you.
Chart. Yeah, got the wrong chart up here though. What do we want? We want the we want the Ethereum chart.
Not a bad chart either.
Where's that bad boy?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. That's the monthly, but the daily. It's a sight to behold. Look at that. Oh my God. Look at that daily candle. Oh, it feels so good, man. Congrats to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, cheers to everybody
who is long.
Everybody in the chat. That was amazing. What a day.
Yeah, once again, crypto just gave you, well, not Bitcoin, but like the Bitcoin used to do this a little more. You just got these ugly, ugly, ugly bottoms. Like not many people in here were like, yeah, this looks like a bottom. It just looked like it was going to melt down more and then whoop.
Yeah, dude.
Later.
I was afraid for like 1,000 again.
Yeah, I thought there was a very good chance that we could retest that kind of initial consolidation before the FTX crash at sub 13 all the way down to 1265. I mean, I thought even 12 was maybe on the table again. But I there's just a point where you're just so tired of like playing the market. You're like, hey, it's close enough. ETF's coming. I've been doing this shit for 2 years. You just buy. Like I think I deployed my last coins at like 15.50 or something. I made a big buy at like a little under 17 after that really nasty nuke over the summer, and then looked like a moron for 3 weeks when it dumped lower. But 17 looks like a pretty good buy now, and that markets have a funny way of doing that to people. It's like so painful, and people like can't buy, and then now if you're not exposed, you just look at this chart and you're just hurting, man. You're just crippling FOMO. But yeah, big candle today on Ethereum. Big candle. I think we were up like 12% on the day at one point.
You want to talk about maybe what's driving that?
13%. Yeah, let's talk about that because when I woke up this morning and everything sort of started. Oh, what's up, Tensky? How are you?
Tensky.
Good to have you. I gotta stop derailing myself from my lines to talk to the chat. It's gonna sound really weird to the people listening on Spotify. But yeah, when I woke up this morning, I saw stuff kind of turbo pumping a little bit, and I was like, okay, this is good. But I didn't realize like a thing had happened. But then I soon got word that Blackrock potentially filing the ETH ETF.
God, Larry Fink, fucking legend.
And then potentially later in the day turned to, yep, they're doing it.
Yeah, dude. So first of all, I was hungover from Alfalfa, so I slept in. I woke up to the massive pump that you saw, and I had just assumed that like an ETF was approved for Bitcoin because
yeah, you were just like, oh yeah, Bitcoin. You were like ETF approved. I was like, really? And you were you were just like, no, I assumed. You can't say that. Right. You can't just assume that. You can't do that to me.
I was right in an incorrect way. So then I was trying to get my head around like, what is this? Like, first of all, is it real? And then like, what is it? Because in the morning it was just that they formed a trust in Delaware, and then it just came out like an hour ago or 2 hours ago that the filing is confirmed. Spot ETH ETF. Man, and I don't know if you saw that filing. Like, I saw what it was like from the NASDAQ or something, and it was like a 9-page paper of like what the filing is and why it should be approved. There was like a lot of compelling stuff in there. It was like talking about how the SEC should not block this, and here's the reasons why. You see this paper?
No, so I would love you to enlighten me on this. I've just been staring at candles all day.
Okay, so first of all, they're going to use Coinbase as a custodian, just like for the Bitcoin one.
Yeah, we like that.
Everything that comes with that is like that security agreement or whatever. But later on in the report, they were saying they were just kind of trying to make a persuasive argument. They said like, this should be approved because it's safer, and it's safer because a spot ETF does what the existing products don't do. Like the existing products they're talking about, like the Grayscale or like any OTC ETH product is trading at like a massive discount to NAV. They're like, ours won't do that. And then they also mentioned like, imagine the other investors who like put their money into centralized exchanges like FTX, BlockFi, Celsius, Voyager, who've all become unsecured creditors in their insolvencies. And like, I think from my standpoint, it's like if the SEC exists to make investing safer, then this makes investing safer.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, I have enough experience, and I'm sure you have enough experience trading some of these kind of futures type products, or products that have you get the contract roll built into them. That was a lesson I learned a long time ago in my investing career, like buying stuff like USO to try to get exposure to oil, and I didn't understand why my position just bled so badly from month to month. So there's all these landmines in these futures ETFs for kind of average investors, and like why would they ever use them? And if they do, like they're sort of getting unknowingly hurt a lot of the time. So that all seems like eminently obvious to me.
Well, they make this other point about the futures ETF. They're like, well, you have approved a futures ETF, but what are the futures priced on? They're priced on the fucking spot market. So like it literally is the same thing. It's just like, give us a spot ETF.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. Have you seen the meme everybody posts on Twitter with the elephant sort of filleting itself? Yeah, that's basically the SEC with the ETF logic. It's just it's so asinine, but it's like everything else in politics, where like they know it's asinine. You know it's asinine. They know that you know it's asinine. They also know that you know that they know that you know that it's asinine, right? So it's just so stupid, like all the way up the levels there, which is why politics is so freaking frustrating. But this isn't a politics podcast. This is a podcast about making some money, and today it's a podcast about just taking a moment to just be thankful. I hate saying this. I don't want to be the guy who celebrates too early and everything. But even if we do pull back from here a little bit, I feel like it's safe to say that if we zoom out, like the worst is definitely over. We are very much into an extended bull run at this point. Like especially if you are denominating in Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin
Oh man,
chart.
did you know this, by the way, before we pivot to Bitcoin? Did you know that like I found this out just doing the research today, that the ARK investment fund or whatever already had a filing for a spot ETH ETF?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I know.
that
I know
must
that
make
other
sense.
people have filed, but BlackRock is like it's the
That's
big
the one that's
daddy,
going to
you know.
move the needle. So the I guess the deadline to approve the ARK ETF is like December 25th, and that's like a date that has been pushed back several times.
Oh, interesting.
And if you use like the SEC's like standard for approving like the BlackRock one, it's like 45 days from the filing date. It would like line up to also be Christmas for BlackRock's. So that could be a fun little Christmas gift.
Oh, what a Christmas gift that would be. Although I do remember 2017 getting the Christmas gift of a that wasn't an ETF, that was like Bitcoin futures, like the actual futures themselves, and that was the top.
That was the top. Okay.
That was the top for those of you who've been around for a while. I want to give you some more hopium for the audience. I had a person who will remain unnamed text me today. You're gonna like this. My buddy in New York, who's a big real estate guy out there, plays golf with one of the Blackrock guys because they're both members at a big name golf club. He called me 2 weeks ago. He's never owned crypto before, and the guy he played with told him to accumulate as much BTC as possible while he possibly could.
Let's fucking go. Also, shout out to Nick Urbani, who's in the audience. What up, Nicky?
What's up, Nick? Good to have you back. By the way, I noticed that 6 or 7 of you in the chat have not liked the video yet. Come on, guys.
I am one of them. I am one of them. I'll do it.
Yeah, just some basic housekeeping. I think we are going to be moving this podcast from the Alfalfa main page elsewhere, because we are trying to get Alfalfa out of the weeds of just being like just so much TA. Those of you guys who listened to the pod last couple of weeks noticed we went a little lighter on the finance, but very very deep on the what I found to be a hilariously awesome discussion. I think we're probably going to put this on my YouTube page and have it live alongside the Magic Lines podcast, because I'm already doing a lot of price action analysis and financial content on there. So if you guys aren't following me on YouTube, give me a follow at Steven Cesaro, Steven with a PH, Steven with a PH, Cesaro. I need a new name, man. It's too hard for
I
me
know
to
you need
spell.
like a little degen name.
Everybody calls me
easily memorable.
Stefan Cesario. It's just like I can't get away from it. But anyway, yeah, probably next week I think we'll probably move it over there. I'm also gonna need to start getting this thing up on Spotify and everything. But yeah, let's what's up, Calcium? Let's jump right into it now that we have the hopium. Before I start pulling up some other charts, just from your perspective as a CFA, does this change anything that people might not already be aware of? Do you think this is a bigger deal on a relative basis than the Bitcoin spot ETF? I have a take on that, but I want to get your opinion on that first.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that like on the relative basis. Certainly being smaller market cap than Bitcoin, it probably is a bigger deal on a relative basis, but I hadn't considered it. Something that I was considering from like a TradFi perspective was like making this thing kind of analogous to something that I'm used to seeing. And something that I'm used to seeing is like in TradFi, one of the easiest trades of all time is buying a stock that is about to join the S&P 500 index. Mm-hmm. And like it's similar in a way because like those companies that are joining the index, they announce it in advance, and people often buy them just because they know that there's going to be like this systematic buying pressure that's going to buy at any price, at the prevailing market price. And to me, this ETH right now, even at 2K or 2100, wherever we're at now, I feel like I kind of feel like I should just be buying it here because I know that there's going to be this like buying pressure that didn't exist before. So I feel like crypto traders are probably going to be like buying here, dumping their bags on the TradFi buyers. And that will probably lead the price to come down, when the ETF gets launched. And that'll also play into like the sell the news narrative that we all see so much in crypto.
That's the dream, man. Dumping on the TardFi folks. That's what DJ and Spartan's been telling us for years. Be
That's
beautiful
right.
if it actually came true.
Didn't DJ and Spartan say the best play in all of crypto is Coinbase, like earlier this year?
I mean, I think he's been very clear that his bags are basically like ETH, Lido, and Coin for like a long
Lido
time.
too.
He's a big Lido fan. I think the question of when to rotate into something like Lido, if ever, is an interesting one and not something I've totally thought through yet. I have some early thoughts. Maybe put a pin in that for now. I think the point you bring up about the idea that there is structural buying that happens when you are listed on the S&P because people have these they have pension funds, all these sorts of accounts that just automatically just buy the S&P no matter what it just doesn't matter. They just buy the S&P. And there's like structural flows into stocks that we don't really have in crypto. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there automatically allocating to Bitcoin, but it's just nothing that resembles the scale that happens in the stock market. So the idea that we could sort of become a stock in a way, and that people might start grasping this like, oh, I got to put 1% into Bitcoin, and that this meme that Ethereum is basically like it's tech. It's like the NASDAQ, right? It's an area of tech that you're not exposed to. Maybe you want to be exposed to AI and all these other exciting things that happen. Well, here's another exciting avenue of tech. You got to allocate something to it, right? A small amount, and because ETH's market cap is so much lower relative to Bitcoin's, and in my opinion, has been just way more oversold than Bitcoin for a long time. I think it could. I think it could. I've been saying this for a while that like the ETH BTC ratio is primed to like absolutely rip. I know a lot of people were kind of saying like, oh, this thing's going to go to 0.035, and I did concede that was a possibility, but like a while back, I made a kind of long Twitter post on this, and I really isolated this move here. I was like, look, this looks to me like a higher time frame structure break, and like while you're seeing like price just like looking like it's going to go through the floor, I'm just seeing like a retracement to the origin of the move.
Wow.
And
wow. That's
these areas are often incredible areas to buy, like the origin of demand before you get a huge move that breaks like high time frame market structure. Those are often like really, really good opportunities. But like I also said, like, hey, like this is just a downtrend. It's a massive downtrend. You're definitely fighting. You're definitely fighting the tape if you do that. I closed my ETH BTC short that I had this morning just as a portfolio hedge, just because I'm so overweight ETH versus Bitcoin, and I was feeling like that was maybe not a great idea heading in. I had my eye on basically this daily high. This is our daily structure. I mean, we've just annihilated that now.
Crushed.
Just completely crushed it. So like maybe we get a little retrace and go up, but I think it was on this week's Magic Lines on Monday. I was just pointing out to people that like if you look at this ETH BTC chart, I mean it is just shorts have had an absolute free ride forever. It is just lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Like nobody's had any of their stops ran. So we've built up just an insane amount of like this is all just like trend line liquidity. And if price decides to move through this area, it could reverse so quickly. Like we could be above 0.07 again in like a heartbeat.
Man,
Honestly,
we're coming for you guys. We're coming for those guys. And Nick Urbani, tip of the cap, he like bottom ticked that thing. I mean, he said on the Alfalfa pod that he was making that swap.
yeah,
Beautiful move.
nice move, bro. Nice move. Like might be too early to do a victory lap. I don't know. Like you really do want to see this taken on the weekly, but like there's a certain point where that weekly level is kind of far away, and like when you're looking at where price is reversing from and what it's doing on the lower time frames, and you can say like, yeah, probabilistically speaking, like I do think we're going to take that high. That is going to change structure. And like I've always just been looking forward to Ethuary. January is always just a mega bull month for ETH, and I've been telling people like don't swap your ETH, don't do it, don't sell like right before the time of the year where this thing performs the best.
Well, there was another cool convo that we had, you and I,
go for
offline last week about this, when I kind of like brought up this idea that like, I was like, what is like causing this pump? Even in Bitcoin, everything. I was like, what's causing this pump? Is this like the ETF sponsors that are like seeding their funds? Like, are they doing the buying? And I think your point at the time was pretty salient. And I don't know if you remember this, but what you said at the time was like, those ETFs don't actually need to seed their funds. Like, this is just retail buying, or just
not with a lot of money.
Yeah, they need to seed it with a little bit, but like, essentially like when demand comes in, they can buy ETH at the spot price there because they don't actually care what the price is. They're just capturing their little margin on their like AUM fees. So like this to me just seems like what we talked about is like people front running TradFi.
I mean, it's not even necessarily people front running trad. I think a lot of people in TradFi have been piling into this trade. I'm very into the idea that the sort of fake pump we had with the intern publishing the fake news was actually like an indication to the market that people are not exposed to this. It's not at all priced in. A lot of people were left after that pump going, oh shit. And from that very morning, really, I mean, that's when we really started taking off. I just think if you take a step back, like crypto is really, really small. There's not a lot of money in the asset class. We still printed just insane amounts of money from COVID. All of that is still sloshing around in the system. Like we've talked about this on the pod when I was talking this summer about the possibility for just like a broader stock market melt up and what a catalyst for that could be. And it's looking like all of those things are coming to a head right now, right? You still have all of the liquidity and the money out there. You've hit peak interest rates. You may be going into rates lowering next year, and then in crypto, you've got the halvening coming up. You've got an ETF cycle. I mean, it's so perfect, and just the idea that Bitcoin is going to be this like blessed asset now that is going to suddenly be available to all of these asset managers around the world who manage tens of trillions of assets, and this thing is trading for like a fraction of what like some stocks or like a gold or like just name your thing. It's very easy to do some moon math and go like, oh, this thing's going to $1 million, right? And then you look at it.
I just looked it up actually. ETH market cap right now is like 250 billion. And MasterCard market cap is like 400 billion. Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. MasterCard's a good company that processes a lot of transactions, but if you're thinking big, you're thinking about Ethereum being like the sort of underlying layer for everything, and what is that worth? Like, it's worth a lot more than 250 billion, right? And then we're still thinking in 250 billion in today's dollars. I think we all believe that money printer is just going to have to go burr again at some point and go burr in a very, very big way. And
hang on, I'm like sitting in the dark here. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I saw the sun slowly setting behind you.
Yeah, let me go turn on a light. You hold the fort down.
Yeah, sure thing. Get that mood lighting going. Get some questions in the chat. Calcium, are you going to sell the BTC ETF news? If so, what levels for ETH and BTC? I think it's probably going to be a sell the news. I don't think it's going to just nuke after. I think it's a question of where price is when this happens. Like I've said for a while that this just big monthly zone here it's just a lot of resistance from 33 to 48K or so. So I do think we're gonna take 48. Like if we take 48 before ETF and price is kind of up here, and then an ETF you get a little pump there, and then a little failure. Like I would like to hedge there. Like I don't have like a number in mind. I just want to see where we are and watch what price does at those levels. But I also know that I don't want to be too cute. It's very obvious to me that Bitcoin a year or two from now is going to be 2 or 3 or 4 times more than it is today. Like I feel like the baseline is that it's double by 2025. That doesn't seem ridiculous to me. So how cute do you want to get there? Especially when you're still sitting at like half of the value of the last all-time high. I don't know.
So what about the Bitcoin spot ETF? Do you think that that's going to be a sell the news in the near term? Like give you a
that's what I was just talking about, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was back there.
It's all right. I know you were turning your lights on, huh?
Yeah.
Got
so you think
Timothy in the chat. What's up, Tim?
We will get a little reprieve from this pump at that time. Like right now, there's like a 2-week window right now where they could approve it. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't been following like the minutia of the day-to-day when it's going to get approved too much. Like I just know it's going to be approved in the next few months, and I know that one day we're going to wake up and it's just going to be there and people are going to freak out.
Are you at like a 100% conviction level on that? 99.9?
No, but I have like 90 plus. Like I think 90 is a pretty good. Like I don't know, the writing just is on. It'd be crazy to me if it didn't happen. It would definitely be a big disappointment, catastrophic disappointment, really.
Yeah, what would that look like? Or should we not even talk about that?
We're not even gonna put those vibes out there.
Yeah, this is a fun day.
Not gonna put those vibes out there. Anyway, like there's some differences between the Bitcoin and ETH chart, right? Like you can see Bitcoin is already sort of trading in this like kind of big supply zone. Ethereum, on the other hand, just has a lot of room to run still. Like if you just want to map out this swing leg and just do like a basic fib in the 50% level, like 28.69, nice.
I like the way you stopped right there.
It's like 35% up from here. So yeah, like I've been saying, like when ETH rips, it's going to rip hard, and it's got a long way to rip too. So you could see a situation where Bitcoin kind of stalls in this area for a bit, and ETH just plays the catch-up trade. Like if the market starts doing the math and realizes like actually there's a far greater than the 0% chance of these things just coming out at the same time than we had originally priced in. In fact, it's a much higher chance than 0 that they come out at the same time. And even if it's not the same time, like it could be within like 3 months or something, or even 6 months. Like I think the market could be scrambling to kind of put the ratio back to parity of where it should be. And it's not crazy for me to see the ratio. Like if you just look at the ratio and where we're at now, if you just assume that we're trading in a range here, right? Even if this ratio just gets back to the equilibrium of the range, right? Just from here, that's about 20% still, just to get to equilibrium. That's not even saying that we like go higher. So if Bitcoin does absolutely nothing from here, and ETH moves 20%, I mean that's a fat move, right? That puts you above 2,500. And if Bitcoin does go up like another 5, 6, 7%, you're easily in the 2,800s, right? So,
But I mean, do you have any concern? I'm gonna like Nick asked a question in the chat about macro. He said like, what if unemployment spikes back up? Like, do you have any concern about macro, like rearing its head and affecting our beloved coins, or would that just be limited to stocks, in your opinion?
I'm curious, like, what your take on this is. Like, from my perspective, it seems like we've been doing some sort of rolling recession for like over a year at this point, and that like different sectors of the economy have been kind of going into recession. Like it almost feels like tech like already blew out in a way, and is kind of coming out of it. Maybe something like services hasn't seen like a big pullback, but like I don't know, like there's the idea that it just doesn't happen, which I think is like a decent probability. I think there is a decent probability they just land the plane and do the thing that nobody thought could be done, and it's just another in a long list of things that the market thought for sure would not happen that actually happened, right? And just chalk up another one. Even if we do get a recession, I'm not sure that it's a given that it would be severe. And then even if it is severe, I don't know how much it really affects crypto, to be honest, because like our overlords have basically made it like abundantly clear that they are backstopping the system still. We had the event with Gilts last fall. We had the regional bank crisis in the spring. We just had the quarterly refunding stuff with the Treasury this week. It's like very obvious that the hand is still hovering over the emergency button. And then there's an election coming up next year, and like you don't think these people are going to try to, like, they already sold down the entire strategic petroleum reserve to win the House. You don't think they're gonna do something to avoid losing to Trump and the general? So I don't know. And I like weigh all these probabilities together. In addition to the fact that crypto just totally blew out and became a ghost town, everybody left. All the stable coins sold off and bottomed out. Everything nuked very, very, very hard. Like, I'm not saying like we're gonna go up if there's a recession, but it could just be a dip, right? And if it's a recession that just turns into them printing more liquidity, then it's gonna end up actually being bullish, like more bullish, because you're just continuing the thesis of why Bitcoin exists and why it's a good thing that everybody should own. And this stuff is only going to further push people into the camp of buying Bitcoin, right? And everything that pushes people into the Bitcoin camp in a world where Ethereum has an ETF is also pushing them into the ETH camp. And then after the ETH ETF, right, we're just going to normalize it. And there's probably going to be like a Chainlink ETF and a Solana ETF. And these are just going to be additional things that we just get used to buying and allocating to. And there'll be some ETF that is like an ETF of ETF, so that you can just buy all these stupid things in like one ETF, and then people are going to buy that ETF, and then just flows will come into the space from that. I'm pretty bullish. I'm pretty bullish.
You sound pretty bullish.
Yeah.
No, but you've been bullish for a long time. You've been bullish since like January, basically, maybe in December or whatever. And at that time, I was reluctant. You know, I was like talking about this guillotine that's looming over our head that's going to drop at any moment. And now I don't even think that even really exists, because like markets do forecasting. Like markets are like, in my opinion, they kind of like priced in the recession already and are now pricing in the idea that it's actually okay. Like we're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I think I was looking at large cap tech, you know, like good companies, or like companies that are have business models. Like Square was probably like down 80%. Like these were like sort of in sort of like recession pricing mode already, and now we're seeing what I would consider like a reasonable time to buy. And you know, on our last week's pod, I said like, yeah, I'm getting irresponsibly long. So I'm cool here.
Yeah, there has been a bit of a blowout recently. A lot of these kind of oversold like shit tech stocks. Like we've talked about them a lot. Kind of wondering if ARK is going to end up doing its thing again at some point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no one's talking about ARK. Is ARK like basically going through like the crypto paradigm?
ARK looks exactly like Coinbase, dude, right? You got this kind of inverted head and shoulders, like multiple shoulders here. Like if we pull up what Coin looked like this is basically what Coin looked like. God, it's freaking drawing tool.
It's like
there we
identical.
go.
That's identical. It's like a Spider-Man meme.
So yeah, there's like a similar pattern playing out. Yeah, shoulder, head, shoulder, whoop, break it, you know. And then you got some neckline or something here. I don't know. I don't really trade these patterns, but they're interesting to look at for Confluence. But yeah, like ARK is just looks very similar to this. Looks that's not what I want. There we go. Yeah, it looks a lot like Coin. I can actually just overlay them.
Yeah, you just be the same. Pull up the same chart. So what do you think, like, as you pull this up, I want to, oh my God. I mean, I'm long Coin, like pretty long Coin. Like, I don't think I want to buy ARK, but I wanted to ask you kind of like, if ETH and Bitcoin are going through this like upswing and we're feeling pretty confident about that, are there any other, like, how are you playing altcoins? Like, are you a buyer of alts in this environment right now?
I don't own a lot of alts. I think I said I have like a small Sol bag. I have a small Link bag. I have a bag of some random ARB ecosystem tokens that's getting a lot larger than I thought it would, a lot quicker than I thought it would. But my generalized framework for how I want to approach this cycle has sort of been like, okay, I don't even consider Bitcoin like a crypto anymore. I kind of consider it a macro asset. I'm going to put it in its own bucket in my portfolio, and then I'm going to look at crypto. And then when I look at crypto, ETH is the thing to beat, and I think ETH is going to almost certainly outperform Bitcoin over the course of multiple years. And I think ETH just has a lot of just pumping to do before it becomes like kind of a really saturated thing where the risk reward isn't worth it anymore, right? So I was like, I'm going to denominate this bull cycle in ETH, and I'm going to basically entirely get into ETH to start the cycle. And then when the ETF thing started happening, my thought was, okay, well, if there's a Bitcoin ETF, there's going to be an ETH ETF, because there's this sort of legal reasoning that's been applied to the Bitcoin ETF that's going to end up getting applied to the ETH ETF, because they both have these futures contracts, right? I think that much in the same way in like the really old cycles, Bitcoin used to pump, and then you had the people got rich, and then they started pursuing the shit coins, right?
The rotation trade.
Yeah, rotating. People need to get rich before they can really do the rotation in a sustainable way. So ETH has to pump first, in my opinion, before like you have these like really sustained gains, not just versus the dollar, but versus ETH itself. And that's like the main concern. Like, are you beating Ethereum with your trades? Not are you beating the dollar? Because like everything's going to beat the dollar like crazy in a bull. So when I saw that the ETF and like ETH seasonality, they sort of line up. Like, we're expecting ETF by latest Q1 next year, and ETH is typically like insanely bullish around January. So given that, like, I kind of thought Bitcoin ETF would be top of Bitcoin ETH, right? And we'd be wanting to rotate into ETH anyway, and this is going to line up with seasonality. Like, in my head, I am very, 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 very stocked up on ETH, and I'm riding like a big pump through like Q1 of next year at some point. And then at that point, I want to start playing the rotation game, and I want to move some of my ETH into particular alts. Probably do so in a way that is like taking taxes into account because I don't
Okay.
necessarily want to be selling all my ETH and taking gains on it, and it's just not even worth doing it at that point if you live in particular jurisdictions.
So if not alts, then is there anything else, like maybe something in TradFi land? Like what about like Coinbase stock or the Bitcoin miners or anything like that? Like how do those charts look?
Yeah, it's no secret I love coin, and I still love coin, and I think coin's probably going to $1,000, right? It just seems very obvious to me, like the fact that this company was worth like sub 20 billion before it's probably not anymore after the mega pump we just had, but it's just crazy to me, and it's just like an inefficient market, and I think we've talked about it before. Like Coinbase sits in this weird nether region where like crypto people weren't buying it because it wasn't crypto, and then people who weren't crypto weren't buying it because they believed it was crypto, and it just didn't have this kind of natural like bid. But the stock looks amazing now. Like the company itself looks amazing now. They're actually running the company like competently, right? Whereas before it just seemed like they're just dropping the ball, everything. Now everything they're doing is just like a complete banger. Super bullish on base, super bullish on their custody business, like bullish on people not wanting to handle their staked ETH and their storage of crypto and all. Like there's just the list goes on and on and on.
But you're kind of using my language, because that's like how I would approach it, and I agree with all that.
Yeah.
But like, are the lines saying the same thing?
Yeah, they are. They are, in my opinion. It's trickier to buy here now than it was to buy in the summer at $40 or $50 when we started talking about it. Like I didn't like this thing charted very badly to me when I bought it. Like it wasn't actually that good looking of a chart, but it was kind of like a gut move because I bought it down here in June, like around like $50. And when I bought that, if you recall, that was like maximum. Like it's hard. We don't even remember it now because it's not even there. But we had like mega SEC FUD, mega
SEC
government regulatory FUD. It seems like that's entirely vanished.
I think that's when they like initiated their lawsuit against Coinbase.
Yeah. And then Coinbase turned around and they were like, "Fuck you. You sue me, I sue you."
And then we're going to court. Like we're not going to settle or anything. Like we're going to duke it out.
And I think the logic I used on the podcast at the time was that, look, I just feel like this is like peak FUD. And sometimes even if bad things keep happening, if the expectation of stuff happening is so bad, then further bad stuff happening could be bullish because it's not as bad as originally thought. And that can kind of mark a bottom. And in retrospect, knock on wood, like that was literally the bottom. That was the peak FUD, and that was the bottom. And then once we got this like mega move up to like 120 in that just sequence of God candles, now you're just sitting there looking like, okay, like I gotta get in on this thing. It's printing like this high time frame meme inverse head and shoulders. It's just made this huge move. Like the ETF is coming. I don't know where in this retracement I gotta get in, but I gotta get in. And in a perfect world, you would have gotten like a deep retrace into this kind of breaker here, but you didn't. It didn't really come back into it at all, and that's kind of rough if we just trade away from this point, because that would mean this was like a very, very hard trade to get into, because you would have had to allocate at the bottom when it looked like complete shit. Or you would have had been like very quick to the trigger before you caught this pump, because otherwise it didn't give you like a perfect zone to get back in. And I'm not saying we're definitely out of the woods yet. I'm not saying it's definitely just going to run the high at 116 and go higher. It could of course like pump up and even go back down. I just don't see anything on the horizon that could be like a potential catalyst for that. And then there's also just nothing really in the technicals of price action that suggests that would happen at this point after we got this like 10% daily candle or whatever yesterday. I mean, the last couple of days off the bottom we moved so much. Like, what was this move? This was 40%. Oh, that's a weekly.
No.
I was like, but it's still a big move for 2 weeks. It's a huge move for 2 weeks. I mean, this thing is really pumped. Really pumped hard.
The calls have been nice. So I just looked it up. Coinbase is at like a $22 billion market cap, even still, like even after this massive move. $18 billion or $19 billion enterprise value. So cheap as fuck. Just comparing to like Charles Schwab Corporation, Schwab, 100 billion.
Chump change,
larger.
baby.
Five
Chump
times
change.
larger for
It's nothing.
Schwab. Like,
It's nothing.
Schwab is fucking one of a unlimited number of just like commoditized brokerage houses. Coinbase is like the one.
Oh God. Yeah, we love coin. Look for a way to buy more coin. I don't know how many more times to say it at this point.
Yeah,
I'm up bigly. I'm enjoying my life. Didn't get my full bag in, but whatever. Let's move on to a couple more things, just so we don't make this a 2-hour stream. I know we want to keep it reasonable. I mentioned that. I don't know if I mentioned it specifically. Actually, I haven't made a ton of moves this week. 2 moves I did make. One was exiting the ETH BTC hedge. The other move was adding to my Riot position. I'm still liking the Riot as a way of getting back in. Well, not getting back in, but getting more like convexity to the Bitcoin trade. I got a really nice buy initially, like almost at the exact lows, which is beautiful, and then I added, I think, about around like 1040 today. So I've probably got about half my position on. This looks good to me right now. Again, like seems like we're getting all of these like obvious catch-up trades in crypto, and for some reason they're not getting priced out of the market very quickly right now. Like, it was ridiculous that ETH was lagging so badly, and still is lagging very badly. But I think price does something for a while, and people are just like, well, the market must just know something. The ETH must just suck now. And then, boom, 12% candle just rips in your face. Riot, to me, I know we've talked about this a bunch. Like summer highs were like above $20 when Bitcoin was $10,000 or $12,000 lower than it is today. So, yeah, I've got those March $15 calls, and I'm just hoping for like a mega Bitcoin God candle, because if Riot can just move to like $45 or something, I'll be so happy. This isn't a huge chunk of my portfolio. It's probably like a quarter of a point of my whole portfolio that I've allocated to these calls, but I just really like the risk reward on them. I just do.
And so the calls are super cheap. Like those March calls, I jumped on them too. I think I bought some over the last week, but particularly even yesterday. So the 15 strike March calls are like $1.20 or something. Like they were $1.20, and then I sold the $7 strike put for like $80. So like net I'm paying $40 per contract for like massive upside convexity. And another thing that I talked to our friend Chris Rodino about, because he jumped on it too. I was telling him that Riot and Mara, like many of these miners, are like heavily shorted. Mm-hmm. So like 25% short interest, 25% of float. And, that can get a little squeezy. If the price starts moving upward, you can see some squeezy activity there.
In my brain, I'm like, yep, that's why this they're suppressing it. They're suppressing the price. It's gonna rip in their face. No, I don't
never know.
It's just things that
you never
things
know.
I tell myself.
For $40 net, I mean, it's worth a shot, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think from a price structure perspective, like this, it just looks like we want 23.6 at a minimum to me, right? So I feel like we're going there with a very high probability relatively soon. Everything past that is gravy to me. I'm hopeful, like conservatively, that we can even just enter like the mid-range of this kind of last leg up before we just get the mega dump down right at like $35. I mean, that's still like an insane trade. Like I have to be right on this trade like a very, very low percentage of the time for it to make a ton of money, which is why I like it. But but also like it's not necessarily like super high probability, which is why you don't want to punch your whole portfolio into it. Please don't do that.
So along the lines of these Bitcoin miners, I think Calcium asked a good question in the chat. He said, like, what happens to MicroStrategy when the ETF comes out? Because like people use it as a proxy for a Bitcoin ETF essentially right now. And I think like that's kind of what Riot and Mara and these Bitcoin miners are too. So when ETF comes out, does everybody just rotate out of MicroStrategy?
That's a good question. I've definitely heard people saying that. I wouldn't say that's in my wheelhouse. It's kind of interesting to chart them as a ratio. Seems like a bit of an oscillator. You know, kind of goes up, kind of goes down, but maintains a particular mean. Not something I have a strong opinion on. I mean, what you said sounds correct.
Yeah,
but I can't draw a triangle on it. So
I think so, and I think there's like a fundamental issue underlying it too that I'd like to bring up. It's like, you know, Saylor is such a Bitcoin maxi, and he's like shown his hand. What he often does and will like continue to do, I'm almost certain, is that he's going to sell MicroStrategy equity when it's high to buy more Bitcoin. So he's basically just like dumping his bags on the stockholders to buy Bitcoin. So I for that reason, I think, yeah, MicroStrategy is probably going to go down against Bitcoin for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, in the short run, the ratio looks like it wants to pump a little bit. So I could see it pumping into the ETF and then dumping after, as you say. But yeah, like I would never buy MicroStrategy after the ETF unless somebody did some analysis showing that like the book value of their holdings is just absurdly low or something. But like I would never buy it again.
It trades at a monster premium to its like Bitcoin holdings, and you know what do you get for that? You get like some shitty business analytics company that you like don't want exposure to anyways.
Maybe there's some sexy options trade you can work out where you're like massively long Bitcoin but then selling MicroStrategy calls.
Yeah, something to think about.
All right,
haven't thought about it yet.
You put that in the chamber for next week. Maybe we'll have another epic trade for the people. All right, let's wrap it with one more thing, real quick. Not something I hear a lot of people talking about yet, but I think NFTs are coming back, baby.
Wow,
the punks are pumping.
What are you seeing out here?
Woo! Look at that candle.
That's the CryptoPunk candle.
CryptoPunks.
Oh my god!
You love to see it.
Pure hopium.
Damn, that is a pump in the making, huh?
So what did it bottom at? This tracks the floor price of CryptoPunks, right?
Yeah, like around 40 ETH or so. Nice little double bottom.
40. I even said that I would buy back
bottom.
my punk when it got to 40 because I thought it was going to get to 40, and I just stopped following. I stopped caring. But where are we at now? 50 something?
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how NFTs follow like TA principles. Like this is the origin of the move. It's like the last kind of demand before the mega candle. And where do we bottom?
Literally
double bottom in that zone. Whoop!
God, and the last time we ticked down into that zone, look what happened too. Like this is just gonna go.
It certainly looks like it wants to go now. I mean, we've just annihilated all the structure. We annihilated all the meme trend lines, all the triangles. They're toast.
Yeah.
Up only, baby.
So
thought about buying another one just so I had one to sell, but I didn't.
I already sold mine. So like I'm trying to think now. Like imagine that everybody who wanted to sell has already sold. That's like me. And you know what next? Like people start to FOMO back in, and I don't know. Yeah, I think this thing just goes.
Yeah, the market's not stupid. Like once the market realizes ETH's going to pump, the market knows that when ETH pumps, the degens get rich. When the degens get rich, they buy JPEGs again. Yeah, I heard Avi talking about this on the 1000X pod, and I thought it was like a really good point. It's just like people in the market thought they had more time to accumulate the things that they wanted to accumulate. and they're just sort of criminally underexposed to things like Solana, to things like Blur, to like a lot of these things that seem to have like working functional products and user adoption and some like strong narrative hanging into the next run, but they've just been so down only, and crypto's been so down only that's been very hard to like kind of hold your nose and buy these things. And then you just see this like the tide shifts, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh fuck, and just piles on in. And CryptoPunks are one of those things. A lot of people who I think were like you, like, I'm gonna buy a punk, I'm gonna buy a punk, I'm gonna buy a punk, I'm gonna do it, and then it starts getting away from you, and then you're just like, fuck it, I'm aping, I'm market buying, whatever.
I gotta buy now.
I gotta do it.
So what about, like, do you feel the same way about NFTs broadly, or is it like a CryptoPunk specific because they're like the grail?
They're like the Bitcoin, right? Like, that's the thing that kind of goes first, like the grail stuff. I bet if we look at apes, the apes chart is probably similar. Is there
Damn, those are probably down bad.
I feel like they're not down as bad as you think they would be, or maybe they are. I don't know what your perception is. Nope, we're still damn. Wow, look at that. Apes haven't moved at all. I really would have thought they would have
They haven't even bounced.
Holy shit.
What's their floor? 20? Is that
20.
what the chart says?
So Punk's now 150% more than apes, as it should be. That chart this looks one of those charts that might not come back. It looks really bad. Oh no. I wonder if there's a Pudgy chart on here.
Oh, are you still a Pudgy penguin holder?
No, I don't. I have a couple of little Pudgies. Peng, of course, that's the token. Peng. Not a lot of trading data on this. I don't know, and that's an ETH price too. I don't think I have a good chart on this. There's probably a good NFT charting software at this point. I don't know. It's been so long since I cared about NFTs, and I don't even know how to chart.
Crazy that TradingView has all this data. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about like NFT trading platforms?
Blur.
Blur.
Blur is really doing that narrative we just talked about. Like Blur is Blur is a great product, right? I think it's a sick product. It's one of the best products we've built in crypto. And I feel like everybody thinks
does
NFTs.
No one use OpenSea anymore? Like
no, NFT. I mean, OpenSea is still very, very used, right? But the Blur is like it's a sick product. It's a product that really pushed on OpenSea, forced them to kind of do a lot of stuff. People hated on it because NFT bros blame Blur for nuking the market, when in reality the market was just going to nuke because it was shitty. And Blur just got so devastatingly wrecked. Can't even get the damn chart on here. It looks so bad.
Damn, quite a comeback though.
Yeah, and it's like it just decided to reverse one day. I mean, if you were fortunate enough to bottom ticket, you are already up 183% off the lows.
I mean, how long of a time frame has this move taken place over? Is that like a 1 week move, or is this like a month long kind of?
This is mid-October, so
yeah,
basically less than a month, and you've almost doubled your money on this. So yeah, Blur was one of those coins that I really wanted to rotate into after ETH pumped. But I think that we're going to see this like kind of catch-up trade where people just realize they're under-allocated and then kind of FOMO back into some alts. But then I suspect what's going to happen is these things are going to take a backseat a little bit and give way to ETH for a while, and then money, I think, rotates from ETH back into alts. On a related note, we'll answer one question for the people in the chat before we wrap it. Burgess is asking if it's a good time to buy Sol. I made a video on this, Burgess, on my channel if you want to follow me at Steven Cesaro. We've talked about it a little bit on this pod. My main concern with Sol, as I've talked about, is the Sol ETH ratio. I kind of figured this entire zone here is going to be rough, and by the time Sol maybe pushes through this zone, you're going to have a ETF catalyst or something happening. That did end up happening today. The ETH chart looks like a couple of weekly swing fails, double top and a structure break on the hourly. I mean, it's a chart that looks to me like it wants to go back down to demand somewhere in here. It's like negative 10 to negative 15% or so versus ETH. So I'm not in a rush to buy Sol instead of ETH right now. And
yeah, so just to be clear, this is against ETH. Like Sol in dollar terms can continue going higher.
Correct, but if you have dollars, then it's also an argument for not investing in Sol right now. The only thing would be like, look, I don't care what it does over the next 3 months. I care what it does for the next year, 2 years, or whatever. Like high probability that Sol outperforms ETH, right? The question isn't that, right? I think it's much more likely than not that Sol outperforms ETH this bull cycle. The problem with Solana and the problem with a lot of other altcoins is that the risk is extremely high. Like I just think ETH is not that risky compared to like all the other altcoins, and I'd rather just like load up on ETH and buy more crypto than I otherwise would have, versus like buy a lesser amount of crypto but then put it all in like Solana or something. It's just not.
Just load the fuck up on ETH.
Yeah, but I have a different perspective too than most people. Like I'm sure like a lot of investors they want, like, I want 1,000x or 100x. Like I'm trying to make it in one swing, and I'm like doing pretty well. I'm just trying to get the net worth.
You've already made
like,
it, sir.
Just over the. I wouldn't say that I've made it, but like I just need to not fuck this cycle up very badly. Where some people are like, I need to take some swings at bat, right? If you've come so far, right, and you just have to get like a 3 or 4x, yeah, just buy ETH and Bitcoin. Don't fuck it up. Don't ruin it for yourself. Like
Yeah.
So that's kind of my philosophy. Even Sol on the dollar chart, man. I mean, it's a rough area right now. We just ran some key monthly highs. Got this 2.5 fib extension here where you generally expect some sort of reversal. I do think it goes to $65 at some point. I don't want to say for sure, but extremely high probability, and I am expecting it to trade up and at least take this like $145 high. I still think the Sol chart is just kind of fucked because it's a product of just massive market manipulation by.
Ooh, I like this take you shared yesterday off air, talking about the market cap of Sol and how it was like mostly driven by FTX.
Yeah, like everybody's anchored to this number, but this is like a fake number in my head. Like the real number might be like, if I told you the real top was like 145, like you wouldn't be salivating at $45 ETH, right? Your brain is just like psychologically anchored to like the bottom price and the top price. But when you remove that anchor, it's not as tantalizing. Like something like Chainlink looks a lot better. Probably has less execution risk, less competition. I don't know. I still think it's an asset I want to buy at a particular price or more of. I have like an insignificant bag because I kept selling it every time it pumped. But yeah, definitely not FOMOing in here at $45. Definitely not.
Damn, we got our fearless leader, Armand.
In the chat. What up? I can't believe it.
Right for the end.
The beard himself has made an appearance. Tom Nom in the chat too. What up? Oh, Paradox is here. Oh, look, we get the gang all here. This is fun.
Goat Central.
This is fun. All right. Well, that was a fun episode. We're gonna try to, now that I'm doing so much freaking content, I can't have all my content be like an endless 2.5 hour diatribe. So we're gonna wrap this here. Still went over an hour because we just can't help. There's too much to talk about. But thank you everybody for joining. Congrats again to everybody who is participating in this nice little upside here. Like I said earlier, I think we're going to move this to my personal YouTube channel and get it off of Alfalfa so that we stop cluttering like the hardcore money with like the philosophical talks. So if you're not following me already, go to at Steven Cesaro on YouTube. StephenCesaro. Follow me there. I think we're going to start posting the show there. You can also check out the other pod I do, which is even more charts. That's Magic Lines.
Even more charts.
Yeah, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to the Alfalfa Pod, and come join our Discord to hang out with us there. All links at alfalfapod.com. We're talking about money. We're talking about life. We're talking about everything. It's a great vibe. It's a great community. We will be back again next week, everybody. Still trying to nail down the exact time we can do this, so bear with us. But thank you all for joining us. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week.